So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is a design matrix. You can see here's the attributes that we're going to compare all the designs based on. This column here is a weight factor. And now you can see that the scoreability is got a 5 here, whereas wow factor, what would be the wow? Wow factor would be the factor when you walk up and you go, wow, you know? So that's nowhere near as important as reliability, right? So what you do is you score blue team, you know, they got a simple robot, known designs, can score well and defend okay. Rank on 1 to 5, we're going to rate the reliability a factor of 5 because it's a real simple design, okay? So we multiply 5 times 5 and it's a 25 in this column here. Okay, but yet, wow factor is pretty low here. It only gets a 2 on the wow factor, but yet the weight for wow factor is only 2, so 2 times 2 is 4. And you can see that the wow factor has very little, what's the word I'm looking for? Bearing, I guess, on the overall point score here. Okay, because you can see that this design, very complex, has a huge wow factor, right? So if you just total up this column here, you would see that that one would score much higher than this one. But the overall point score, this one comes out ahead. Okay? These are very powerful tools, but I highly stress developing this or downloading this before the day that you need to use it, because if you try to design it on the fly like we did last year, you will fall on your face. And then you will have bloodshed and mayhem. Anyway, go ahead to the next slide. We didn't have bloodshed or mayhem. Well, actually, we had mayhem, but no bloodshed. Okay, after you decide on a design. Okay, so we've used the matrix, we've decided on a design. Now it's time to actually assign action items, tasks. Your job is to work on the drive base. You're going to be the leader of that group. You're going to be working on the arm. You've got the grabber, and so on down the line, okay? Hopefully your design team, the folks that know how to actually make parts work together, you've got enough of those people that you can kind of break this off a little bit, and you can have some people working on some things. If one person's in charge of all of this, that's a big job. So try to have a good design team base that you can break all this stuff up. And they'll work together, you know, because it's got to all fit together somehow. But do have an overall robot design leader, have a mentor that has some design experience, and have somebody like Brandon that has been working with Inventor or whatever 3D modeling software you're going to use that can help drive all this stuff and kind of be in charge of it. During this initial design work, you're going to be having daily meetings where you're coming together, and during the build process as well, because ideally, once you leave that meeting where you've decided on your design the next day, you're building, okay? Now, for us, we have the design meeting where we select, or the design review where we select the design, then typically we have about, what, about a day and a half? Yeah, from the end of that day, all day the next day on Sunday, we're modeling this thing in 3D. So on Monday, we show up with technical drawings, hand them out, and people can start fabricating parts. That's our goal. So at that point, though, we're sort of at the very rough chassis, or not the chassis, the superstructure level. Now, from that point, it's going to take time to develop all the little subcomponents. Okay? So any of that design work that could have been done on the front end before the review, the better. Okay? So kind of break it up to where you're having daily meetings on progress. You're having discussions on email. We've got a Yahoo group. We've got email lists. We've got a phone list, like a phone tree, where if we need to get word out right now immediately to all the students in our team, we've got a phone tree. So you call 2 people, then that person calls 2 people, and then boom, you only have to make a couple phone calls and everybody's been notified. We try to rely on Yahoo groups, but unfortunately not everybody checks their email all the time. Not everybody has a BlackBerry that vibrates in their pocket every 5 minutes. So try to get that all going on. Also have weekly reviews to where you kind of do a wrap up. And this is something that, we still need to work on here. If you set a weekly goal, we're going to be here by the end of the week, we're going to have a chassis completed. Well, on the end of Friday, if your chassis is not completed, well, you don't just say, okay, well, we'll finish it on Monday. You've got to make some serious, hard decisions. What's going to go away? You know, what are we going to give up in our design because now we're not going to be able to hold our schedule? Because what you don't want to do, folks, and we're not going to labor this too much, you don't want to end up like we have in the past where the night before you ship, you're trying to get it all done. Give yourself a couple weeks to be done so you can do some testing. So hold your deadlines, come up with a good calendar. And this is sort of a hard one here too. If you've got people that you've put in a leadership position that are supposed to carry the torch and they start dropping off, don't let them bring you down. Okay? Make concessions. Have hard conversations. If need be, replace them. But the goal is to get the team moving forward. Okay? So here's a real rough calendar. And again, this is going to be available online if you want to jot it down, fine. But here's our kickoff on the Saturday the 3rd. We start building the chassis basically on Sunday. You can have some people working on building the chassis the very next day, or even that day for that matter. Design work, though, as you can see, is going on in the little subgroups at the same time. You could be building a chassis and thinking about something at the same time. You'll sketch, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to do this like this. And then you go back to building whatever you're building. I mean, just this is always going to be in the back of your head. And at the same time, you're doing homework, you know, you're planning for classes, whatever you're doing. You know, the unfortunate thing is that robotics will get in the way of, or no, it's the other way around. Your job will get in the way of robotics. Okay? Yeah. So just try to work around that. Yeah, on Thursday, that's when we do kind of the design review, or the, what do we call it, design feedback. So all the folks in your little sub-teams have done all this work, they've got prototypes, they've got this and that. This is the day where they can meet with mentors and get some feedback. Okay, here's my design, what do you think? And then, you know, as a mentor, you're going to say, well, how does this work? Or how does that work? Or maybe they come to you with questions like, how do I make this work? You know, how are my sketches looking? Can you understand my design? Well, if you can't, help them get those sketches in their presentation in order so that they don't fall into the realm of, well, how is that going to work? You know, you don't want to stand up in front of the group and have them say, how is that going to work? Okay? Friday, they're going to be working on finalizing those presentations. Saturday, that's go time. That's that design review day. This is a really cool day. Sunday again, not a cool day. But this is when you're going to have that design selected. It could be a cool day. I hope this year this is a good day. Okay, that's my goal. And then on Monday, this is the build day. This is when you start, everything comes together. Okay? We got time for questions.